In this video, I'm going to show you how an underpainting can help you get a jump start on your own paintings. And by the end of this video, you'll not only understand what an underpainting is and what it does, but you'll know how to do one yourself. Hi, I'm Layne Johnson. Welcome to my studio. I'm about to start this painting. It's a scene from the Texas Hill Country. But first, before I do anything else, before I do the underpainting, I've got to transfer and scale this image to this canvas. The supplies I'm going to use in this series is Strathmore stretch canvas, Maimeri Puro oil paints, and a variety of my favorite brushes from Princeton brush. Nice canvas. It's really well braced too. I've arranged the composition in a way that's a nice steel yard composition. A lot of paintings I have more than one focal point. In this case, I'm using steel yard where you have one large mass here, offset by this one, and kind of at the pivot point where a good focal point is. So we also have a 3-spot pattern kind of hybrid armature here. So between steel yard and 3-spot, I think this one came out to be a nice painting. So let's paint. I'm drawing here with a Conté pencil. Conté comes in crayons, and in this case I'm using the pencil because I want a little bit more control. Sometimes I'll use pastel pencils. Other times I'll use vine charcoal or compressed charcoal. But today I'm using the Conté pencil. Here's my reference. I'm working from a grid. Grid system has been around for a very, very long time. Helps me transfer my drawing. Hey there, I just wanted to pop in here for a moment and invite you to register to watch my free workshop, Secrets to Painting Beautiful, Realistic Landscapes. You can find the link in the description below this video. Now the weather's bad today, so I can't take the canvas outside to spray it with workable fixative. Instead, I'm going over my lines with an acrylic pen. This works really well when you have bad weather or cold weather, and you have to stay indoors. Now, the acrylic pen will not wash off, so if you don't want to use workable fixative, this is a good method to use. This is the beginning of an imprimatura. Basically, it's Italian meaning the first paint layer. I'm creating a transparent tone surface which will allow light falling onto the painting to reflect back through the paint layers. It's the first step to create luminosity. I often use earth colors like this one, burnt sienna. Let's speed this up. This paint is Maimeri Puro. Excellent paint. I'm thinning the paint with some odorless mineral spirits and adding a little bit of drying medium. This next step, called the bistre, is often referred to as the rub-out method. It's performed before the imprimatura is dry. Many of the old masters like Rembrandt, Leonardo da Vinci, and Rubens used this technique. I usually try to wait at least 20 minutes before I start trying to rub out. You can test your canvas basically, but that's about how long. It can vary depending on conditions in the studio, temperature, weather, but you just kind of have to test it out and see if it's ready to go. This is the messiest stage for me in the beginning. That's why I'm wearing rubber gloves. Throughout the painting afterwards, I pretty much just paint without gloves on. And as you can see, I'm using crushed up paper towel to remove highlights. You can use brushes, you can use cloth, but I just go with the paper towels. Also, because you're using odorless mineral spirits, you need to still have some good ventilation. So it's a good idea to make sure you have a large enough area to do this in, and maybe it's a good idea to crack a window. But sometimes what I do, I typically do this particular session last part of the day, because it only takes about 45 minutes to do. And that way, when I'm done, I just leave the studio, and come back the next morning and all the odor is dissipated, so it's all good. Part of the reason I do this is because I tend to work larger on larger canvases, so it takes more mineral spirits to do this. But if you're working on a smaller canvas, it's really not a big issue at all. After this stage, I'll paint normally, and I will use my normal mediums, which are low odor. I get questions all the time about, is this the only color I use in an underpainting? And the answer is no. It's the one I typically use for daylight scenes. I want, and especially with clouds where I want luminosity. But if I'm doing a nocturne, let's say, I may use something completely different. If there's a moon involved in the nocturne, then I will use something warm around that area, but I may go with a totally different color, an umber, a gray, or even some blues on a nighttime scene. It's just fun to play with which colors you can use and what they do in your painting. As you get towards the end of the Imprimatur Bister, you might find certain areas drying faster than you'd like. You can always use a little bit of your OMS to reactivate the area and pull out highlights. That works well. Okay, it's looking pretty good. I think it's time to slow down a little bit. I think it's a good idea to step back and see how you're doing. It looks pretty good. Okay, this Imprimatur Bister is now dry. It's been just one day. I'm going to come back now and do the dark browns to finish this underpainting. Also notice that by rubbing out highlights, you're jump-starting your painting. You can already see the painting coming to life. I'm starting with the number 6 Catalyst brush to block in this brown. I'm using this dark brown color. I'm using actually two different colors together. It's a Mars Brown, this the Maimeri Puro brand again. And I'm also using the bitumen. It's kind of like an asphalt color. These are good dark browns. Sometimes it's good to use something like a Van Dyke brown. Some people use like burnt umber, but these are the colors I'm using today, and it looks like they're working out really well. It really looks like I'm painting super fast here, but I'm really not. I'm taking my time, enjoying the paint, and just blocking in all these areas. It's not critical that you get everything perfect in this part of the painting. Just like any painting, you will hone it down to from areas that are not so detailed to areas that are more detailed. You just have to take your time and enjoy the process. I'm blocking in these limbs here with a number 4 Velvetouch round brush. It's working really good. Sometimes people will ask me why I don't go ahead and paint the sky area the darker brown color. Well, basically, I don't think you really need to. I know it's going to be some form of blue or grayish blue or whatever, but the landscape, I think, is more important to develop to get your values down. Let the Imprimatur Bister define the sky. Some people use other colors altogether for the Imprimatura. Some people will go with something more golden, like a raw sienna. Burnt sienna is what I'm using for my Imprimatura here. There are other transparent colors. You can use other transparent earth colors that are good. In fact, you can do the entire thing with just the Imprimatura. Just do one toned panel and then let that dry and paint on top of that. Okay, I'm using my number 4 Velvetouch round to kind of block in this gate. It works really good for details. It's also really good for trees, the foliage. Towards the end of the painting, this underpainting, I will take a paper towel and kind of soften some things. I also will use a mop brush. This is the 3/4 inch oval mop, Velvetouch. Whoa, Tex, let's slow down. The basic goal for me, for the Imprimatur Bister and then complete the painting with the darker browns is at the end of the underpainting, I want the whole thing to be covered so that the landscape has a good feel to it. It feels like it's getting to be real. You can kind of see the painting coming to life. And more importantly, you're going to see the direction the painting is going. You can visualize where to go with, let's say, the background hills or the trees. You can help see that because you've developed your values, and that's a big part of painting. Wow, you can see how quickly this painting's taken shape. Yesterday, I took about 45 minutes to do the Imprimatur Bister. Today, I spent less than an hour to complete the underpainting using these dark browns. Now you can see the magic of an underpainting. In the next video, I'll show you how I will paint these beautiful clouds. Thanks for joining me in my studio. If you enjoyed this video, you'll also probably enjoy watching the videos I've linked on the screen. Be sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. If you're ready for more in-depth lessons, consider enrolling in one of my online courses where I teach classical painting techniques for landscape painters. You can find all my classes at laynejohnson.com or click on the link in the description below.